It's a day called today. We're talking guitars and life. Well, welcome back everybody to another exciting episode of Ted Talks Guitars and Life. Hey guys, man, great to be with you today. I am stalling. No, man, I really needed a break from... I'm trying to figure out the audio interface thing, man. Guys, I'm trying to make better quality videos for you, for your listening enjoyment. So anyway, I've been looking at audio interfaces, and I just needed a break from all of that. And second thing, I'm waiting for the UPS guy to bring me my tuners. So what we're going to do in this video, three things. We are going to replace the original nut that was on the Washburn Sonamaster guitar. This was the guitar that was in that Take the Stage pack. So we're going to be doing away with the straight plastic nut and moving to some kind of a bone nut. We will also be installing the SAPHUE. I never can say this, man. Never can say it. These are the tuners I've been using lately. Got them off Amazon. I'll put them in the description below. Should you be in the market for some locking tuners? This guy can't get the bag open. I can't get the bag open. What in the world, man? Childproof. Yeah, probably. Here we go. SAPHUE? SAPHUE? I don't know how you say that. I put these tuners on several guitars around the shop, and they do a good job. Guys, you want to put Music Lily or Geiger? I know a guy with a Geiger code. I know a channel with a Geiger code. It's in the description below. Yes, it is. If you want to check out some of the Geiger stuff, you do you, man. And then I've got these Amavalier roller string guides. We'll be putting those on this neck as well. And once we do all that, it will be waiting for electronics to come tomorrow. Then we'll string up this guitar. We'll get the nut all locked in, and we should be jamming, Jack. Stick around. Let's have some fun. Well, good morning, everybody. That is what it is for me, man. I don't know what time of day it is where you are and what you're doing, but it has been a day since the last vid. What was seconds for you was 24 hours for me. Yeah, so about that. So I've got my morning cup of coffee. I've got my wife's homemade granola, Jack. So if you hear me crunching, don't think anything about it. So yeah, man. So we're going to put on these string guides. I've got these roller string guides. And guys, you can go out, you can find Fender string guides if you want to do that. I think I saw those on the Zon. Pretty sure they were rocking in at, oh, I don't know, man. What were they? $7 or something? So really pretty inexpensive. So I think this is a 2-pack that I got. I've bought even 3-packs before in the past, and they were pretty good as well. I think all of like $8. So I'm going to use some safety glasses, because what I've opted to do in this particular journey is to cut off the nibs on the bottom of these. So you've got a couple different options. If you hang on the channel, you already know that. You can drill a secondary hole, and the secondary hole would be for the nibs. It's got a little tip on it, and that's just to keep it from going, you know, side to side as you tighten up the strings. I don't particularly feel like drilling holes today, so I'm just going to take my wire nippers with my safety goggles on. I always cut my hand over anything like this when I'm cutting, because those things tend to fly away, my friend. You heard the aggressiveness in which that pops. So I will take a bit of sandpaper or a file and file that little bottom of that, just so it doesn't scratch the guitar. Now you'll also notice that I've got a couple of metal pieces that flew out, very fine pieces of metal. So again, I will want to clean up my area and vacuum really well my table before I get my pickups anywhere near this bench. I'm going to try this with needle nose pliers. Again, I'm always going to cut my hand. And you know, man, it's going to take some force. They don't just fly off immediately. And you'll see that I've got some left over. I don't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and go in with a finer, closer cut if I can. There we go. All right, well, let me get my file, and I will file those, and I will get the debris out of the way, and we will continue, you and I. So I've just got this little red handled file. You've seen them on the channel if you hang out. I will put a link to all the stuff in the description below, like I always do. If you want to go out and buy some files, you can. If you want to use the affiliate links, you can. Guess what? You do you, man. If you don't want to use the affiliate links, don't use them. It's all good, man. What I put out there, guys, is meant to be helpful. I just remember, man, I remember when I was first starting doing this, I'd watch guys on the tubes, and they'd say things like, well, yeah, man, I'm just gonna get my file out, and I'm gonna do this. And I thought to myself, said out loud sometimes, what kind of file? I'm just gonna get my snippers. And what's a snipper? Hey man, we're all on different parts of the same journey with this thing we call guitars in life, man. So, you know, for those of you, man, sometimes, I can remember my earlier vids, I would say, man, I don't have any links, and blah, blah, blah. Look, guys, that could be really helpful for somebody that doesn't know what you know, and even just mundane processes like this, man, there's nothing glamorous about following the nib tips off the bottom of these rolling string guides. But I tell you what, man, I just remember, guys, I remember when I was starting, and I remember watching some channels, and I remember them talking about doing things and sometimes demonstrating. But I didn't know what tools they used. I didn't know where to get those tools. I didn't know how to do what they were doing. And I found their comments about how kind of easy it was a little bit frustrating from time to time, because, man, not everything is easy for everybody. Some people have never done this kind of stuff before. So, anyway, that's meant to be helpful, man. If it's not helpful, just consider the source, man. If you hang on the channel, you already know my heart is to never put myself in the driver's seat of being anybody's instructor in all things guitars and life. I am simply on a journey, my friends, and I am documenting my journey in the hopes that my journey will be helpful to you in your journey. So yeah, man. Now, somebody may be tempted to type even now in the comments. Maybe somebody already is. All this guy does is talk. We came for the action. That 20-minute video or longer could have been a 15-second thing, man, where you just show the before and after, and you know, get on with it. Well, yeah, that's true. This is Ted Talks Guitars in Life. Man, what we do on this channel, it's about guitars as a primary kind of thing, but we talk a lot about life, man. There's a lot of life that's happening while we work on guitars and around guitars, and there's so many more important things in the world than guitars, man. We just need to stop and appreciate that sometimes. So toward that end, man, I really appreciate those of you who hang out on the channel on the regular, and those of you who are visiting, man, glad you're here. But this project of the Washburn Sonamaster guitar has been quite interesting, and I really have appreciated those of you who have taken time to comment on the questions that I asked. So I just posted today. This will give you maybe some sense, if you hang on the channel, of how far ahead I am in making the videos. What I mean by that is you're not going to see this video probably for a week from now. And so I just posted this morning the update video, the customer service update video. If you haven't seen that, you can see it in the playlist below for the Washburn Sonamaster. And I was talking about how the good folks over at Marmalade USA gave me a $50 refund, which has already hit my bank, because I had 3 significant dings on this guitar, dents really, in the body. The fingerboard, what I thought was a divot on the 1st fret, spoiler alert if you haven't seen that vid, turned into being just a glue buildup that looked like an indention. I did, however, find a little 1st fret weirdness where the part of the fret where the tang would usually be was just a hole. So I did fill that. Anyway, I got my $50 refund. And in that video, I asked the question, you know, what would you guys do, man? Would you repair the dents? Would you, you know, I was thinking, man, well, I could either repair the dent. Now, I'd have to figure out how to do that. I've never done that before. I've seen some vids on how to do it. So I would either have to repair the dent, or I said, well, maybe, man, what I could do is I could relic, you know, those sections of the body. Just take it down to bare wood, try to make it look cool, true oil over it, get on down the road. And then TR, man, over at Wicked Fester Band, TR said, man, I'd leave it just the way it is. That's the 3rd option. You don't have to do anything, man. Let it ride. Appreciated J-Man's thoughts, man, about, dude, you know, you got that guitar and everything else for $100, man. That's better than any kind of kit that you could buy. I thought that was a good assessment of things. So let's get back to the action. So these tuners, these are again the SAPHUE SAPHUE Super Machine Head. Gear ratio claims 1:18. So these are going to fit in here copacetically, I believe. Just something like that. All right. So if you're new to all this and you watch people and they make it look easy, that's one of the reasons, guys, that I don't do a lot of editing, particularly when I make mistakes. I just want you to know, man, if anything that I do looks easy, that's only because I've done it a few times and I make plenty of mistakes. This, for me, what I'm doing right this second, this is going to sound crazy. This is one of the most tedious things for me. Let me tell you why. One, I'm kind of an old man. I don't see as well as I used to when I was younger. I have big old Fred Flintstone. That's a reference to a cartoon. Copyright. Hope they won't get me. And I have big hands, and I have some shakiness in my hands for a couple of different reasons. Nothing that I need to take up your time talking about as much. I just want to say, man, be patient, guys. Man, give yourself some grace. Take a breath every once in a while. Try not to be in a hurry. I can remember, man, working on some guitars. Some of you have been on the channel. You've seen me do it. Where I do like all of this work in like 2 days. Bless my wife's heart, man. My wife has a love-hate relationship with the channel. She loves that I love guitars. She loves that I have community with you guys, man. That we get to hang out. You know, she loves to see me happy. It's what a good spouse, having a good spouse is all about. And man, you know, but I can get super obsessed, man, and I can spend too much time in this guitar shop. It's just a study. Everybody knows it's just a study. And get obsessed and ate up with things, man. So my friends, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, which is what I mean when I say guys. Life is about balance. You know, I've seen one consistent thing with these SAPHUE locking tuners. They always come with a bonus screw. So hey, I collect those kinds of things. I ain't scared. Alright, well, let's flip this bad boy over after I tighten these up just a snug. Somebody's going to put in the comments, you do not need to get locking tuners. Guys, you do not need to get locking tuners. I prefer locking tuners. That's just me. And the tuners I get, the locking ones, are just about as inexpensive as the regular ones. So yeah, you do you guys. But yeah, you don't need locking tuners, man. Look, everything with guitar playing, I say it on almost every video that I make, everything about guitar playing is player preference. Oh, by the way, man, J-Man had a great vid where he was talking tuners for his West Creek 335, and he mentioned that Two-Back Mike, shout out Mike, had turned him on to some grease that they get at their automotive store, I believe they said. And you can grease the insides of your tuners if you'd like to do that. You can always put a drop of 3-1 oil, particularly when it's like this. And you can see kind of into the gears on this style tuner. You can do that. If you've got other kind of tuners, you can take those apart, you know, and do all the things. So there's any different kind of tools that you can use to tighten these. I prefer to just grab my 10mm socket, which I will be doing, and just snug these babies up. Just because, you know, man, everybody's got a rhythm, man. You know, so much of life is just you finding your own path, man, your own way. You know, so oftentimes in life when we begin to do something, we're first starting out. That's why I always talk about J-Man and Two-Bike Mike and Dave over at Dave's World of Fun stuff. Man, I watch those guys. They got me going in all of this. They set the road for me. They set me on a good path. And then I eventually began to find my own way. And that's what life is, isn't it, guys and gals, brothers and sisters, boys and girls? We are just all finding our own way. We have our own unique journeys, our own unique paths, stuff that we dig and stuff that we do. And you know, man, so the first couple times you do something, man, you just, you know, you watch somebody do it and you may or may not be interested in the tools that they're using to do it. I'm just going to line up the tuners where the string will go in this way. It just saved me a little bit of time later, and since we're here talking guitars and life, I have time to do that right now. So yeah, you know, man, you watch people, you watch their process, you may even get the kind of tools they've got, but man, over time, here's what's going to happen. You're going to begin to find your own way. And when you find your own way and you find what works for you, you do you, man. Don't let anybody rent any space in your head about what you have to do. Nah, man. Comes to all things guitars, you do you. Break for the coffee. Well, guys, as my coffee cup is empty, my granola is depleted, my sense of things is that this vid is winding down. So a couple things about the nut here. I've got some options and a really messy work area, whereas I can't even get to the nuts I was going to show you. Clean this up, man. This guy needs to clean this area. I know, right? It's just crazy. Yeah. So I have an assortment of nuts. This is the nut that came out of the Washburn. The way I know it is that it has a W for Washburn. And this nut was in there pretty snug. It was not glued. You could see the height on that. That's pretty high. And if I was going to keep this nut, which I'm not, I would file that down some. That being the case, that being said, I have some bone options, and a couple of these are still a little too wide. This is a Dobro, I think they call that, it's either bleached or unbleached. I don't know, guys. You can look at that and tell me later. Put it in the comments. And then I have some of these Music Lily that came just a whole pack of them, man. It was crazy. I don't know if there was 12 of them in there. And again, you get the hardest bricks guitar pick from Music Lily. Thank you very much. But you'll notice that all of these are much shorter than this one. Now, even though I was going to have to file the plastic, that's quite a stark difference. So, when you buy nuts, it would be helpful, more than likely, for you to take a ruler, and there's 3 measurements that matter. You want to measure the width of the nut. This is right at about 41 and a half. We'll call it 42. Is that what I wrote down? Yep, I wrote down 42. And then you're going to want to measure. So when I said width just then, I meant the width of the neck right here. I guess technically that would be the length of the nut. And then you want to measure the opening here, the space for it. And that's generally going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 3 millimeter, somewhere in there. And so most of the bones that you're going to see on the Zon and other places are going to probably be 3.5, which means you're going to have to file down the sides of these a little bit, as I would this one if I were going to use it. See how that doesn't quite just fit in there yet. Okay. All right, now the other measurement that may be of interest to you is how deep this slot is. Because as you can tell, if you look at this, the highest point of this nut, we're rocking 6 mil at the peak. This nut, the highest center, we're rocking 4. So what that tells me is that I may need to either, one, purchase another shim that is taller, that I could file down. I have this one, kind of this, you know, again, this unbleached kind of looking thing. I think it came out of maybe one of my T's guitars, I don't really know, that I just, maybe the blacked out ST1. And you'll see that it's a little too narrow, although I wouldn't, if that nut worked otherwise, I would probably just put a little glue in it and ignore the gaps. That's just me, man. Put it in the comments what you would do. So, but you'll see that the height of this is better than that. But if I did that, then what I know is I'd end up sanding the top of this. So what I need to do from here, I need to put the strings on the guitar. I have electronics coming. They should be here hopefully today. When the electronics come, I'm doing a whole other vid on the body and electronics. Okay, this is just supposed to be about the neck, kind of keep things separated and in theory shorter video chunks. We'll see how that's working out for us when I go to editing. But I may decide that I'll just take one of the bones that I've purchased. I will sand the sides to where it slides in and out, and I may, and I'm saying may, I may shim the nut. What I mean by that is I will take some piece of cardboard or post-it notes, fold it over a couple of times to where I build up some height on the bottom of this nut so that it is not too low, because if the nut is too low, then your strings are just you're gonna have buzz immediately, and it's gonna be a bad day. At least that is what has happened to me in the past, my friends. So with all that said, I am going to pick a nut that will be a temporary fix until we get the electronics in the body. We get this thing together, because only when I have strings on the guitar will I be able to truly ascertain and really hone in and dial in the nut that I want. And once I have the nut that I want, we will glue that bad boy in there and we will never look back. Check. Well, I had signed off, and then the thought occurred to me. Seems like I just heard a guy go on and on about how sometimes people may need to see you do something they've never done it before. So I'm going to take this bleached kind of bone looking situation that I have here from the good folks over at Doe Pro, I believe. That's not it. This is it. Is that it? That is it. And I'm going to sand it down. So all you got to do, you want to make sure you've got, there's kind of two edges to this. One is a little bit more curved, one is flat. So I would sand the flat side. Put it in the comments, guys. And I will when I get this thing all where I want it. And again, we've got some assessment to do with the height of this. But I will come back at a later date once I have everything dialed in exactly where I like it, to my player preference. And I will put one drop. Guys, I'm saying one drop of glue in that nut slot, just to keep the nut in there and happy. How do you do this? This is 1200 grit sandpaper. It's not super aggressive sandpaper, because I don't need super aggressive. I have a tendency to be a little heavy-handed with things, so I don't need to be too heavy-handed. Now, you need to make sure, if you don't mind me offering a tip, that you are applying pressure across the nut consistently, so that you're maintaining that flat surface. Okay, well, this is the nut we're going to start with in our little experimentation. By the way, the nuts are, this is a flat bottom nut. So you see I've got a little touch right there. But again, I'm not going to hammer this into oblivion. I don't need this to be concreted in there, if you will. Particularly right now, I need to get everything on here, the guitar all strung up. Then I need to assess the height, because as I said, my suspicion is that this side of the nut is going to be way too low, and I may have to shim this a little bit, or I may need to order another nut. So what do you guys do, man, in this kind of thing? Do you, I think Mike over, Two Bike Mike would say, man, get a block and cut it yourself. I could do that as well. So anyway, that's kind of where we are on the journey. So we are awaiting parts, and when those parts come, we will be back. In another vid, we'll look at the body and handle electronics. Well, as always, wherever you are in your guitar journey, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your best selves, everybody. We'll catch you down the road. Just a little bonus content for those who made it this far on this video journey with me. I picked this up from Guitar Fetish. Custom, less real model. Yep, that's going down soon. Stay tuned.